All right, welcome in a special Friday afternoon edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Louis Bow, of course, back porch at my house, here in Louisville, Kentucky, ahead of the Claiming Crown 2024 edition. We'll be out there tomorrow hanging out at Churchill Downs. Make sure that if you are out there, you come by and say hi, either in the paddock or section 320, where we are always hanging out. I want to encourage people, get out there right now. Tabacos Valles on sale right now with our guy Jay Shepard out there on Bardstown Road. So pop in on your way to the track tomorrow. Bardstown Road, just north of Eastern Parkway. He'll have you all set up. Hey, mention the show. Get an extra cigar for free with any order over there. Our guy, Jason Shepard at Jay Shepard Cigars. Go say hi to them. Over there, tell them that we sent you a man that has had a cigar or five in his life. His name is Barry Spears. Joins us from a very chilly northern Florida. Barry, I'm very sorry. We're having a bit of a funeral here for the weather that you're having to endure, even though man, we ain't got no leaves. I mean, there's nothing here, bro.
Yeah, everything's naked back there and cold, and that's not my thing. But you guys are in section 320. I have a question.
Please.
Is there a section 420? And do they do different things than you guys with the cigars in that section?
Man, I love you asking that question. Here's the answer to that. It's very simple. By the way, it's 53 degrees here and very humid, which means it's just sitting and disgusting. It just is. It's the nature of the beast this time of year here in Louisville. There probably is not a section 420 because once you get above the 300s, there's something else. But your joke is very funny, so I kind of want it to be true now.
Make it happen.
Come on, Louis. You're kind of a local radio mover and shaker. That's right. Come on, Kevin Kirstein. Make it happen.
Oh, Kevin's man. Got that all day.
I kind of agree with you, actually. He's a
both of them. Both Kevins. Kevin Kilroy as well.
Yeah. Oh,
they got to do it for the team.
Do it for the team. Maybe Caitlin Free swoops in and saves all of us at the end of the day. Had her on this morning.
If she can't get it done, nobody can get it done.
Yeah, we're done here. That's exactly right. May as well hang up the old podcast strings, if you will. And so Barry, cool day tomorrow, man. In with the Claiming Crown. I think of like the Breeders' Cup on crack, man, because I was telling you right before we came on, it's the day where a horse wins and then you go back to the past performances and you're like, oh yeah, there it is. I feel like more often on this day than almost any other day that we have on the calendar.
Yeah, it's kind of odd the way this day works with these like starter allowance kind of conditions. You get these horses that have a lot of back class or were in form really well at one time and then out of form and then coming back into form. I mean, typical claiming type stuff.
That's right.
But it makes very hard. It makes for a hard time for these races because you're getting horses from different circuits running at different kinds of claiming races. Some may be better than others. Some may look not as good, but maybe better. So it gets really tricky trying to get selections here. And sometimes you get these, wonky kind of prices on horses that actually look a little better than what their past performances might say.
Yeah, so Barry and I are going to look at the last 6 races on the card here. That'll start with race 6. So if you are playing the Derby City 6 tomorrow, that pick 6 at Churchill Downs, we'll have you covered at least for our on-top picks. Ask Barry ahead of this one like we did with Travis Stone last night. Top play and then a price play in each race. Frankly, on a day like this, not very difficult to find a good price play in every single race. I've got a couple, frankly, for numerous races. I've got a race here, Barry, where I've got 8-1 on top with 10-1 in second spot. I mean, it's that kind of day.
That's what I love. And actually in this race, I have the same sort of deal.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get into it, man. Like I said, we'll be out there tomorrow. So if you are kicking around, hit us on Twitter at Horse Happy Hour, whatever you got to do to let us know that you're up there. But of course, 320 is my usual section of choice where the Jay Shepard goodness comes out and you can come grab a cigar from me. But the 6th race is an $8,000 a starter allowance here. $100,000 in the kitty, though. 6 furlongs on the dirt. We're sprinting here. Caramel Chip is back from his run in the Godolphin Mile this year. Hasn't won on dry dirt in a really long time, Barry. Looks like we're going to have nice conditions for the races tomorrow. So I'm going to be against him as we run this race tomorrow. Where did you land in race 6?
Yeah, I'm totally against that horse. It's so weird, his career, because at recent he's running in graded stakes over in Dubai, and then prior to that he was running in these starter allowance races. It's like, well, what kind of horse is he? Yeah. Pretty good. He's a 6-year-old,
for sure.
A little long in the tooth, hasn't been out in the wild. 2-1 on a horse like this that's kind of inconsistent. I can't do it. I actually went outside towards or not towards, to the 8 Charter Oak. I
There you
think
go.
this has some races at Prairie Meadows at higher classes that would
Yes.
probably be a little bit better class wise than some of these others. 12-1 should get a good setup. I think there's enough pace in here for this horse to run him down late.
There you go. So that's both an on top and a price horse here. I said I'm against the one here. I'm not against the two, and I know 2-1 or 5-2, excuse me, is going to get no one's blood boiling on a day like today. But I do think Concrete Glory has a serious shot in this one. 6 for 16 lifetime at the distance. Hasn't missed the board this year. Barry has been running really, really well at Gulfstream Park. I don't think Safi ships this horse for no reason. This 5-year-old, excuse me, son of Bodemeister. And look, I mean, you talk about which horses make up these races. This is an exact perfect example. They bought this horse at a sale for $14K. Awesome. Good for you, because he's turned into a horse that's made over $250,000 in his life. And he'll be, I think, one of the favorites, if not the favorite, by the time we get there. I do like the 3 here. Barry, the King of Kentucky, is going to come in. McKee gets the ride for Claude Bronfield. And this is a horse that's been running really well. If you look at the form, when he's in this type of company, he wins, right? He wins by 10 at Belterra and a $5,000 allowance before that. Wins at Belterra and other optional claiming company. It's when he gets to a place like Indiana and he's running in, frankly, a high level allowance in Indiana, he runs second. So if we're going to get that kind of, output from him, I think he's got a serious shot here as well. And my longer play was more the 11 in here, the horse Real Naughty. I think you're going to hear the name Brian Hernandez Jr. out of me a lot ahead of this day. But this horse comes in, has been running a Thistledown up in Cleveland in a bunch of allowance races for non-3 lifers, that sort of thing. This horse won a non-4 lifer event this year, frankly, going 6 furlongs at Thistle, a $110 final time there. So that horse, man, you can get 12-1. You get Brian on that horse, man. This is exactly what we're talking about with Claiming Crown. That's the kind of horse that can make or break your day, but certainly make it.
One thing I'll say about this race is there is no shortage of speed. If you can't close in this race, I don't think you're going to get any closers at all. This is a tough race. I mean, in general, just because there's like half the field is all out speed and half the field just likes to close. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, it should be a fun one for sure. I think every horse I mentioned is going to try to get some part of the lead. It's going to be a horse like Charter Oak that's going to pick it off if they are able to pick it off later on. Barry giving that one out.
Not hope. Not hope. That's going to
happen. That's how,
man.
It's an easy game, people. Just listen to Barry. That's how it works.
Right?
Race 7
Yeah.
starts a late pick 5 here. Going a mile on the one turner there at Churchill Downs, 100K in the kitty here. This is a 12-5 starter allowance race here. We see a horse that loves to run second and ambitiously placed at Churchill Downs, but has since moved to other tracks and been very, very successful as well. Barry, I landed on the 6 here. I think Jubilant Joni is a worthy 7-2. Coming out of the California tracks. This is an interesting one because Ray Lou is going to get them out here for Jeff Mullins, a trainer that he knows from his time at Del Mar this past year and certainly in the current meet. Claim for 8. They run him in a 20. He wins the 20. He's claimed back in that race out of the Sherman barn and goes ahead and runs second in a $50,000 optional claimer there against other fillies out at Santa Anita. Going the 2 turns. I wonder if the 1-turn mile will help out here, but it is 2 for 3 lifetime at the distance. The only blemish on the record is that second place finish. I thought the 11 was interesting here too. Penn Street ran really well last time, Barry, over the mile course. So literally over this course that we're going to be in a $20,000 allowance, starter allowance, here. I wonder if that's the kind of company we're going to get here. Rafa Bejarano seems comfortable with this horse. Last win did come over that mile shoot at Ellis Park. And so I think we'll like the 1-turn mile here at Churchill as well. So on top, at least for me, Barry, I got 6 and 11. Where'd you land?
You kind of have to think that the races at Churchill, over their meet are probably better than most. So yeah, I do like Penn Street in this spot. It wouldn't be my top pick. He's actually is more my second pick, but yeah, he definitely has the speed and the running style to win a race like this. But I went to Vino's Angel, the 8, for the same reasons. But this horse has been running at a little bit better company. It's hard to compare because this horse has been running on synthetic at Presque Isle coming into, Churchill on the dirt 1 turn. It's a world of difference. but speed wise, this horse fits. And, if the pace kind of develops like I think it is going to, with Tennessee Moon out front, kind of winging it, and then everybody else lining up behind him or trying to challenge that horse, you might see enough pace in here for a horse like Vino's Angel to come running late.
Nice. Yeah. And we've seen over the years, I've interviewed trainers who I think of as turf trainers, and they always talk about that dirt surface at Churchill being one that horses can come off the synthetic or come off the turf and really seems to not bother them as much perhaps as other dirt courses. So that's something to watch as well too here, Bear. We see horses switching surfaces as well, right? So some that have been, successful on dirt before and they're willing to try it here for the check, but they've been running on turf, they've been running on synthetic, that kind of thing. You mentioned the synthetic at Presque Isle. Is that a concern for you at all, or are you just looking at the form essentially?
No, that's not a concern. I think this horse fits. Bill Morey has, he's a really, really good horseman, has a good eye for where to place them. So I trust him in this spot because he moves horses in and out of circuits like this all the time. And I think he's got a good one here. Just got to show it on Saturday.
Santos Sanjur is aboard the 5 literary in here for Tim Eggleston. How about that? Coming down out of Horseshoe, Indianapolis, won against in an optional claimer field in a 13,000 optional claimer. Last out was right there over the mile course in an optional 40 before that. Did win at the $36,000 allowance level before that. So my long shot play here in this race is going to be Tim Eggleston's 5 literary. Be interesting to see how that horse runs. Did try the dirt once at Churchill Downs before up the track, but that was a long, long time ago. She's 5 years old now, daughter of Tonalist, which was actually a favorite horse of mine many years ago. It was one of those horses that I enjoyed betting. I'm probably the only one. Go ahead.
Seeing this horse's form, it's like you wonder why this horse doesn't run on dirt more.
Right. Right. Well, I think sometimes it's just where you can get carded, man. And
that's also true. Yeah.
Say what you will about, Horseshoe Indianapolis. They're running for decent purses, but if you got to get in on the turf, you just get in on the turf, right? And so I think part of it is that thing, but you're right, man. 3 for 7 lifetime on the dirt, 2 for 8 at the distance. I think that offers a lot of value. And frankly, over a 1 mile course, it's not like we're trying to figure out a 1.25 mile race here. I think Santos Sanjur can get the job done there for sure. Race 8 is another starter allowance, of course, 5.5 furlong sprint on the turf here. We're running for $150,000. It's a $25,000 starter allowance. And Barry, one of these where we've got some pretty short prices in here. Final verdict comes in off an allowance win at Aqueduct under Dylan Davis, picks up Tyler for the mount here. And, there's going to be another one in Hilarious Affair, the 10. I would lean in this race, frankly, in a different direction, but where did you end up?
I ended up on the 1. Balsa. I think this horse has a good running style for this particular race, and I think this horse might get overlooked a little bit, and that's why I think this is a really good spot. The horse is actually coming into this race razor sharp, and is very versatile. Can be up on the lead, can sit off it a little bit. Lindy Wade should really be able to put this horse wherever he wants and be formidable. My price play is a horse that I actually have on my wall here, Midday Image.
Let's go.
8-year-old, but he's still running pretty decent figures and running against better competition. Dropping into this spot makes a lot of sense, considering his past and where this horse has been running previously. But this is a big drop in class for this horse, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes off maybe second or third choice.
Okay.
And I almost made this one top pick too.
Okay.
It was really close between those 2 horses.
Yeah, you're right. Running in higher level stuff, both at Laurel, Keeneland, Saratoga for sure. And so, yeah, I think the drop into class here is absolutely the right way to describe him dropping in, man. I'm really hoping I have the 5 on top here, by the way, in final verdict. So I do agree there, but man, I'm hoping the 13 draws in here, Barry, off the also eligible list, because the move to turf has been so good for Philo Badeau. 3 for 4 with a second in 4 lifetime starts on the turf. I think this is a horse that's absolutely ready for this. Been running at Canterbury, picks up Rafa Bejarano for this mount. And I don't hate the outside post. We had Travis Stone on the show last night, and he even said, look, with how the turf course is playing right now, you actually want to be closing a little bit and frankly in the middle of the track. Well, if you break from 13, guess where you're probably going to be? Middle of the track. So frankly, I think it sets up really well for this horse who's been running, ran a 56-1 last time out on firm go at Canterbury. I think the turf course is going to set up really, really well. If that 13 draws in, I think no one's going to be looking for it. Also eligible for an Escobar, for a Martin Escobar coming out. He's got 4 starters all year. Give me that horse, man. I think you're going to get solid 20-22 to 1 in that horse.
I can tell you that you're probably going to get in this race because the 9 horse ran at Aqueduct.
Right.
I saw the race, so I know that happened.
I'm more hoping that this horse has been training at Tampa. I'm just hoping the horse shipped is what I'm saying. Is that 13 draws in,
I think they would
on the grounds. Yeah. I
think they would because, obviously Tampa is where this horse is going to be based. They haven't even started running yet. So this might be a good situation for them to, maybe grab some dough before the
pay some bills,
Tampa meet. But I'm not really sure. And the reason I looked at this horse really closely, and I'm just not sure where those Canterbury races stack up.
Really. I agree.
I have no idea. I mean, this horse could easily run them off their feet, but I was just not sure.
Yeah. I noticed that switch to turf. Went back, watched the last race. Was in the Brunel barn when he was running those races, and I think this is a horse that's got a legit shot here on Saturday, should he have made the trip. But race 9 will start the late pick 3 here. And this is another starter allowance. Of course, 7 furlongs on the dirt is a $16K starter allowance running for $125,000 here. And I think of all of the races here, Barry, I think this one has the clearest favorite in Global Sensation. And frankly, most deserving favorite of any of the races. Is this one to try to play against, or is this one maybe that we key in? We know we're going to get hit a little bit because a lot of people are going to bet this horse. How would you play this sequence with this horse?
Yeah, I'm playing against this horse. I mean,
okay,
it doesn't take much for me to want to bet against a favorite. And there's enough speed in here, especially the horse to his outside. Pure Panic is pretty good fast. And very fast. And there's some others in here. So I think this pace is going to get hot and occupy Global Sensation enough for other horses to have a chance. Now, my play would be the 7 like a Salt Shaker, just for the fact that this horse is going to sit right off that speed and ready to pounce and get first run, which in most cases in a race like this is the best move. But the other horse, my price play is the 5, Keen Cat. And this horse is interesting from the standpoint of should get a similar trip if good enough to like a Salt Shaker. Being inside of that horse probably makes a little bit of a difference too. I like the workout on November 9th at Churchill for 48 breezing from the gate, 18 out of 160 that day. And you're not going to see, lower level type claimers do that. This horse is a little bit better than that, and it showed. Just hasn't gotten out of Iowa very much.
Very clear. The last race too was a setup for this one.
It's a prep, right? Exactly.
Yeah, no question. Yep.
So I think they have the right approach to point towards this race. They're going to give their best shot. Whether they win or not is another story. But I think this horse's figures stack up and the class and everything. So at 20-1, definitely worth a flyer.
My long shot play in here is the 2 No Easy Days has been running at Laurel Park at a similar distance. Is going to have to step up and do an extra furlong here, but seems to not mind that. It's another horse, Barry, that's going to try to sit 3rd or 4th position, try to move up. What I love about this horse is it sees that long stretch at Laurel all the time anyway. The long stretch at Churchill Downs is not going to be unusual for this horse, right? And so while I don't think this horse ends up winning, I'm going to include this one in any exactor trifecta play that I play because I do think this is the kind of horse that picks off the second spot and really does amp up the payouts in that case out of the Mackenzie barn. How about that? Axel Concepcion gets the ride there on No Easy Days. The late double features the crown of the day. This is the $35,000 starter allowance, $200,000 purse, mile and an eighth Starter allowance for race 10. So if you've started for a claiming price of $35,000 or less in the last 2 years, you qualify for this race. Some horses certainly that people probably remember. Out of the 4-star Dave this year, Money Supply is back for this one. I went with a considerably longer shot here, Barry, and I'll start. I think Hurry Hurry the 8 here is absolutely one to watch. And this is going to be one that's going to do his best running late, but picks up Jose Ortiz in this spot. And I love the move to Jose. And I think he's going to give this son of Accelerate, who, by the way, is still intact. And I think is the kind of horse that we could see come out of this race. And maybe not in the Clark this year, but maybe see him in some other sort of grade 3 type races, maybe at the fairgrounds, something like that, as we move forward. But give me Hurry Hurry, who has won at the distance, won at a mile and 3/16 at Churchill Downs before, is not scared at all of any of this. And if these other horses get out too fast, he's going to be ready to pick up the pieces. So give me 8-1 all day on the 4 Hurry Hurry.
Yeah, no knocks on that one. I mean, this horse is looks to be kind of improving a little bit.
Yes, correct. We forget he's only 4, right? I mean, it's not
Right.
like, and when you get to this is a reminder that this is how the sport naturally plays out if you just let horses race. They get better as they get older, right? And so it's fun to watch a horse like Hurry Hurry, because if he picks this off, like I said, we might see him in the mine shaft or see him in something like that in the fairgrounds, a race like that down in New Orleans.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
I do too.
you like to see these horses that kind of come out of the ranks, kind of mixing it up with the claimers, then move up.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how it used to be. You used to try
That's
to
right.
clear conditions before you moved up into stakes companies, stuff like that. It's always good to see those throwback types. I don't know what to do with Bourbon Day in this spot. This
Okay.
horse is probably going to take all the money
All
that
of
you
it.
ever
Yes.
want to see, but
Yes.
got a insanely perfect trip last time, and I think the buyer figure says that too, 96, which is way better than what this horse was doing. And I'm not sure that will hold up. I just don't see it happening. I'm definitely betting against that one. Horse
Okay.
I would say would be my top pick would be the 11 Surface to Air.
Yep.
If you eliminate that September 2nd race on the turf, this horse is just as good as anybody in here. And I think that muddied up the form just enough to where this horse is 8-1 on the morning line. Not to mention the kind of nondescript sort of connections. I know they kind of
right.
hang out in the mid-Atlantic, but this
Yes.
horse has been
Good point.
traveling around, and I
Yep.
think they know they have a good horse. I mean, when they claimed this horse out of that maiden claimer at Keeneland, I mean, immediately just turned around and dividends everywhere. And I think they actually went a little bit, maybe too long is a mile and 1/8, but I'm willing to gamble on that in this spot at that price.
I mean, dropping out of stakes company here, getting back into, his kind of class. I'm with you on that. 8-1 might be a little short for me, but my guess is, Barry, just based on connections, like you said, Bourbon Day is going to get all the money. I think you're going to get better than 8-1 on that horse by the time you get to post time. I think the 5 in here is really interesting as well. Auto Glide. Julien Leparoux gets the mount here, and I don't know, Barry, there's always a track every year where I go, man, horse is coming out of that track. It always catches me off guard. And Delaware is that track this year for some reason. This horse won 2 back in the Battery Park at Delaware Park over a mile and a 16th. So we're going a 16th of a mile further. They tried him in the deputed testimony, at Laurel the next time out. I think he was just tired, man. I think he needed some time off. They gave him the freshening. He comes back in this spot that is not a great angle for trainer Greg Compton. But if that horse is all fresh, if those workouts at Oaklawn are not indicative of how fresh he actually is, I think Julien Leparoux is the right jock for him to sit just off the pace and make a press when he gets to the stretch. What do you think Bourbon Day goes off at in this race, just because it is Brad Cox and he ran a 96 last time?
I mean, this is Brad Cox in Kentucky. You got to think
8-5?
that this horse is going to be about 6-5. And I'm with you. I like Autoglide. That's my price play in here. Of note, the jockey trainer combo.
Oh, I know.
The 3 races that Leparoux won with this horse are the only 3 times he's ridden for Greg Compton.
It's amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think this horse has to be a little bit live in this spot, just based off that alone. and you probably get your price because, Greg Compton isn't a household name, but he's a very good horseman. Gets
Yes.
it done at 20% most of the time. Why not?
Yeah, a guy who goes 30 for 143 knows exactly what he's doing and where he's placing his horses. So agree with you on that. And by the way, that horse is carrying the maximum weight in this race because
It's
it's
just
won
weird.
this year,
Yeah.
right? That is a giveaway sometimes in these handicap races. Who's had the best success this year? And Autoglide in this race, believe it or not, would fall into that category. The Get Out race is race 11 tomorrow, mile and a 16th on the Matt Winn turf course. By the way, Barry, have no idea if you got to watch last night. Cracked my ass up. Had Travis Stone on. Love having Travis on. I only bother him like twice a year. He's a busy man. You understand me? He's busy making superfecta bets in the middle of the night in Japan and all these kinds of things. And he comes on last night, and I'm like, do you ever refer to the turf course as the Matt Winn turf course? And he stares at me and he goes, is it called the Matt Winn turf course?
Is that what it is?
And I was like, oh, shoot. Did I just, what? Oh, no. And I was like, maybe I heard that, but it wasn't really it. And then I look it up and right on Churchill Downs website, the renovated Matt Winn turf course, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, Travis, I'm sorry, brother. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. That's not what we're doing here on the Horse Racing
Got him.
Happy Hour. You understand me? Got him. That's right. He texted me after the show, so I think we're okay. But man, I felt bad for a second. Mile and 16th on that Matt Winn turf course. For this starter allowance, it is a $25,000 starter allowance for 3-year-olds and up. And you had to have started for a claiming price of $25,000 in the last 2 years. Barry, this is a fun race. I like a horse on a quick turnaround if he draws in.
This race is the epitome of what this day is about, I think. And
I agree.
It's good that this is the last race because it's very competitive. All these horses have been around the block a few times. You got Cadet Core. It's 32 lifetime starts, 12 wins. I mean,
I know.
8
awesome.
wins on huge big leagues, 30-1 in here. So yeah,
it's a great point by you. Cadet Core is 20-1, and that horse has won 12 of 32 lifetime starts. That's awesome.
Right.
That's great.
I know this whole field is just battle tested, and this is the kind of race you like to see. And we used to get them a lot more often, especially during the winter. Like this time of year, from like November to February, we get these races periodically on cards. And they were always fun and always, kind of yield some prices. But I thought the 10 merits a real good chance in here, Journeyman.
Yeah, sure.
In a tough race, I think running style and versatility is why I like Journeyman. Not to mention, ran a really, really huge race last time. Was probably overmatched, outran his odds for sure, and I think he's going to do that again. Although this time he probably won't be a great price, but he won't be bad. I think this is a real lukewarm favoritism kind of race where the favorite might be 5-2 ish, maybe 2-1, which is lukewarm these days. 2-1, the way how the betting works and everything, where you get horses at 1-2 all the time. Used to see it like once a year. Probably about 15-20 years ago. Now you see it twice on a card, or maybe even more. But I think that one merits a good shot. And then the price play would be the 3 Tidal Forces.
Nice.
Kind of the same thing. A little bit of versatility, can be placed wherever. Bejarano does really well on this turf course.
Yes, he does.
Funny enough. So I'll trust him at a decent price in a race that's kind of wide open.
It's sort of wild to think of Rafa Bejarano, the three years in a row wins the riding title in Southern California, and he's like, I just want my kids to live in it.
Right.
No, but like, but he wants his kids to be in the same house all the time, so he moves to Kentucky and he just takes whatever he can get. You know what I mean? He's doing great, but you're right. I mean, it's where he's the guy that you can watch and go, okay, he's on this horse, and that horse has some ability to close or whatever it might be. He's going to at least give the horse a good trip.
Yeah, he's hungry. Everybody's hungry.
No, that's exactly right. Man, my price play in here was actually Good Governance. The 11 got a freshening. Last out at Keeneland, was charging at the end. Is definitely going to be in good form for Anna Navarrete in this one. Santo Sandro does pick up the mount again. This horse, last 2 times out at Horseshoe Indianapolis, did win its races. One in an optional claimer at the $40,000 level. Went over to Ellis Park, tried to qualify for those races in the on Kentucky Down Preview Day. had to drop Lasix, didn't like it, gets Lasix back here after that race at Keeneland. And that was in a non-3 lifer, high level. Irish Aces was in there. Leparos ended up winning the race. This is not that kind of level. So I think that the 11 in here has a really, really legit shot. And another also eligible that I hope draws in is on the grounds at Churchill is Saint in the City, the 13. Francisco Arrieta is going to get the mount here. That horse comes in off of a win over the mile and a 16th course there, was in the lead, lost the lead, and then rallied for the win there. And I think before that, I'm not at all sure that they were going to place this horse in this kind of company, but that was in a high-level allowance company. I think if that horse draws in, Barry, I love the quick turnaround from trainers. If they're just convinced, hey, this horse is going right now, he needs to get back out there. That's my kind of play, man. And I love that kind of long shot, 15-1. That horse draws in. You best damn well be sure Good Governance and Saint in the City are going to be in an exacta or trifecta play. For me, how will you play this card tomorrow, Barry? I know you do some shows with our guy Chase over on the OTB, and you guys do the $100 at Aqueduct on a Friday, right? That kind of thing. You know, how do we play Aqueduct? How do we get that budget? A day like tomorrow, full fields, all that kind of stuff. I'm a pick 3 guy. I love them, but it might be an exacta kind of day. It might be a trifecta kind of day. What does Barry Spears look for on a day like this, where you know the fields are going to be full, and frankly, those 1 to 2 horses probably aren't going to pop up too much?
Yeah, this is kind of Breeders' Cup-esque.
It really is.
In the way you have to approach it, because you could get prices on horses that are real legit, and you could center your day around that. And that's probably what I'm going to do is focus in on a couple of these double-digit prices and kind of work my way through those races. Doubles and pick 3s in and out, and then win bets and exotics vertically with those same horses. And you hit one.
That's right.
That's all she wrote.
That's right. Tomorrow's a day you hit 2 bets, you're going to be good. That's right.
Exactly. That's what I used to do. I used to go. I swear to God, when I was a kid, I was barely able to drive. Had a little bit of money in my pocket. I'd go to the track, get somebody to bet for me, and just 1 or 2 races, and that's it. Or I'd sit there, wait, make the bet, hit, and go home.
That's right. Take your money and run. His name is Barry Spears. You find him at Urban Handicapper on Twitter for sure. Look, man, you are due for a horse racing happy hour trip next year. The lazy one is to just meet you at Tampa. Where should we drag you instead? Do you want to do some hot springs? Do you want to do NOLA? What are you feeling this year?
Either one. I actually, my nephew lives in Arkansas, and he's like, "Oh, you need to come down." And I was like,
"Really? Okay." I'll be very honest. I'm using Matt Dinnerman to get into all these places. So I'd never been to the Haskell before. I just, you drop Matt Dinnerman's name,
nice.
You get champagne, caviar, or whatever the opposite of that is with Matt Dinnerman. He is gold, dude. He's money. I love that guy. I got to tell you, Barry, have you seen the picture, dude, of I interviewed him ahead of Breeders' Cup Saturday at Del Mar, and he's got this hat now that you could tell our dude, he dropped like a G on this hat, and it's just it gives me so much. I love watching dudes like Dinnerman come up, man, because they just he's such a normal guy, man. He's just a cool, normal dude. That's exactly right. I love watching that stuff. And he was in Del Mar's where he fell in love with racing. So my man was in his element. He was hanging out with his pops, like all the stuff, dude. It was great.
The best thing about Matt is you would never know you would always think the guy has the best day of his life every day.
Every day. That's right. Yep. That's right.
You just got to appreciate people like that with that kind of energy that sustains,
sport with so many people that are looking for the bad, right? I mean,
and he's such a positive guy, even talking to him on social media, stuff like that. He's just a real good energy. Like, good energy is always good to have and always hard to find.
For sure. All right, man. Well, which of your long shot picks did you have one that you were like, this is it? This is the one I'm really going to try to press?
Yeah, hold on.
No, you're fine. I know I'm throwing that at you without go from Dinnerman to whichever your favorite bet was going to be for the day tomorrow. You should have seen this hat. I'll send you the picture, man. It's great.
Charter Oak, actually, I like quite a bit.
Which race was that?
In the 6th.
Okay, cool. Okay,
because I think honestly,
the 8 horse in the
Yes,
6th.
I'm a Beast is probably the fastest horse in this race. I've watched this horse run a billion times, like his whole career. They're going to have their hands full, and I think that pace is just going to get ridiculous.
There you go. All right. Well, he is Barry Spears. He is the urban handicapper, the sniper, whatever you want to call him. We call him Barry here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Thanks for joining us, Barry. I did want to brag a little bit since you are a former college basketball player. My 12-year-old, also named Louis, hit his first in-game three-pointer this week.
Buckets, Louis Buckets,
yeah. Louis Buckets,
little Louis Bucket. Yeah, that's.
He's
great,
one of
man.
these kids. He just stands outside and bombs threes. He goes 1 for 10. You kind of good. You know, he's Reggie Miller. How about that? Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
Reggie
already.
Miller reference.
That's it. It's over.
I wish you were that
Game's over. The game is done. Little Louis is
folks.
getting buckets.
All right. Well, it is time to get out of here. Appreciate you, Barry. This has been a random Friday edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour.